And welcome to Good Morning Thailand. We've got Dusty here saying hello. It's Wai Kru Day today. What is that and what do students do at schools on this day? We've got the latest on Joe Ferrari, and yesterday the Thai Prime Minister stood in front of a crowd, ripped his face mask off and said, "Are you ready?" Well, it's coming up on Good Morning Thailand.
Please help us by clicking the like and subscribe button. Thank you, guys.
Welcome to Good Morning Thailand here in Villa Newton once again, and we're here for the rest of the week. Should also say that Jay isn't back today. He's a bit under the weather, not what you think, but he won't be here tomorrow either, so it's just me holding the show. So I've, just basically dragged in somebody off the street. It's a great pleasure to welcome Sue Altman, all the way from Baan Rim Pa. Hi, Sue.
Hello, Tim. Thank you very much for dragging me in off the street.
Good to have you with us. Are people tuning in to see Jay and Natty, who are sort of both in their 20s? Mm-hmm. Natty's in her 20s. But we're not in our 20s.
No, not quite.
40s, perhaps?
Yep.
Also, Sue very kindly brought along donuts today. I suppose we should say thank you very much to Dunkin' Donuts, who aren't a sponsor, by the way.
No, don't thank them. I bought them.
So you bought 6 and they gave you 12?
Yeah, it's a great deal.
Are they old ones from yesterday?
No, they're fresh today.
Well, it's a pretty good deal, isn't it? So thank you for joining us for our Good Morning Thailand program. We should also thank Regent International School in Pattaya. Thank you very much for being a sponsor. If you're thinking about an international school and you're thinking about living around the Pattaya or East Thailand area, then we'd recommend Regent International School. Now today, Sue, we've got a few big things to talk about. It's Wai Kru Day.
Yes, it is.
You're involved, apart from your work with Baan Rim Pa, you're also involved with a foundation that has quite a lot of schools and teaches students. So I'm sure you'll have an opinion about Wai Kru. Wai Kru, by the way, is that it's when the students get down in front. I'd call it groveling. Sue might call it something else, in front of the teachers. So we'll get onto that later. Also, the Thai PM yesterday, rather spectacularly, in rather a sort of a Donald Trump moment, ripping off his face mask and saying, "Are you ready?" So that's a big moment. Tourism tax. You know the tourism tax they were going to add? 300 baht. They're holding that off to later in the year. 50th anniversary of a very famous photo, which we'll talk about later. And also today is the introduction of new laws for the C word. We can't say the C word.
Okay.
All right.
That C word.
Not that C word, the other C word.
Right, I'm with you.
All right. So let's start with the Thai Prime Minister yesterday, and it was a bit of a shock. He was in Phuket, didn't come to visit me.
No, but there were a lot of police around the island, and I figured there was something going on. So
You thought it was all for me?
I thought it was for me, actually.
He's down there. So, the Thai Prime Minister was down at a tourism event, and in the middle of it, completely out of nowhere, he ripped off his mask and said, "Are you ready?" That's sending a pretty good signal, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but he didn't sort of follow through with anything, really. I mean, yeah, I guess it was a good signal. I mean, are we ready? Seriously, are we ready to rip off our masks? We've got so used to wearing them. And the numbers have gone down of COVID and everything. I mean, I don't know. Are we ready?
I'd say we are ready. I'm not so sure about the Thai people. As I keep on saying, I'm pretty sure they will keep wearing their mask in some situations. A lot of them will. But I think a lot of foreign tourists will be glad to know that they don't have to wander around wearing a mask.
Yeah, I agree.
But you're right, he didn't follow it up. There was no date announced, but it seems that things might be cooking, which could end up as good news. So, the image of the Prime Minister yesterday ripping off his face mask, it obviously made big headlines.
It was, and I think for the tourists, it will make a big difference because the tourists really just don't understand. They're not being worn in any other countries, then they come over here and they're forced to wear them. And in a lot of cases don't wear them, and it causes some problems.
Yeah, so you get all the YouTube videos going out, and there's people wandering around, Pattaya, Soi 6 and Bangla Road, and they're not wearing masks. And they think, oh, I don't have to wear a mask anymore.
And on the beach, you're supposed to wear a mask when you are on the beach.
In theory, that's right. So there's all these mixed messages, which I think have been very confusing.
Yeah.
By the way, apologies again that you've got two Australians, completely by coincidence, presenting the show today, although I am a half New Zealander, so maybe I get a pass. But we will make subtitles later so you can understand what we're saying, especially Sue. Which part of Australia are you from?
I'm a Melbourne born and bred, 7 generations, but
Okay.
I've lived in Asia for 30 years, so I think I've lost quite a lot of my accent. No? Okay.
Anyway, good news from the Prime Minister, but no dates. But I've got a funny feeling July the 1st might be just July the 1st. Watch that date.
Just guessing.
Mark it in your calendar. Joe Ferrari.
Ah.
So Joe Ferrari, whose real name is Titisan Utanupon. Sorry for murdering that name, but I tend to do that with most Thai names. 41-year-old police chief up at Nakhon Sawan, who was caught last year in August on camera, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
Basically torturing and murdering a suspected drug suspect. Very firm reaction from people yesterday about his sentence. He was sentenced to, given the death penalty, and then the judge commuted that to a life sentence in the same presentation. So that pretty much is the Joe Ferrari story over. He looks like he's going to be spending a lot of time behind bars. A lot of people, Sue, though, said, will he actually go to jail? Now, what do you think this sort of the message out of all this?
Well, I hope he does go to jail, and also the other people who were with him at the time, the other police officers who tortured, and it was obviously torture because we all saw it on video. I hope he does spend a lot of time in jail, but then what sort of jail is he going to spend it in? Is he going to spend it in the same sort of jail that you and I'd be thrown into if we did something wrong, or is he going to spend it in Club Med?
Well, I think Thai jails are uniformly pretty rough places. I wouldn't want to be spending any time in any of them. So, by the way, if you see an extra person walking behind, we've got the cleaner here at the moment, so she might be doing a bit of a vacuum under Sue's feet at some stage. Just move aside, madam. So I think he will go to jail.
Yeah.
I think the Thai government and the Thai police and the judiciary generally want to send us a pretty strong message. But a good question would be, if he only got caught because the camera was rolling, how many other times has he done similar things to this? And if not him, what about thousands of other police that may have used these sort of strong-arm tactics?
But this comes down to the what if, doesn't it? And of course it's happened, I believe it would have happened before and has probably happened since, and doesn't just happen in Thailand, happens in other countries as well, and it's just a matter of those who get caught. And he was caught, very foolishly. I'm glad he got caught, very glad he got caught, but you're right, it could be happening all the time and we just don't know. But maybe police will take a little bit more care in not getting caught on camera.
I think in Australia they used to use a telephone book as a occasional persuasion or something that would elicit an admission of guilt.
Yellow pages.
Yes, but they're no longer, they used to be about that thick. They're no longer, they didn't leave a mark. They're no longer printed these days, so...
I think they still are.
The yellow pages?
Yeah.
But this was a directory, by the way.
I know, it was
that thick.
all telephone books.
A lot of trees had to go to make way for the yellow pages, sometimes the pink pages in other countries. Somebody sent me a comment, I've lost it. Paul Weston, thank you, Paul, and hello to all our commenters. I really appreciate you coming to say hello. We'll get to your comments. Paul Weston says, a policeman in a Thai jail, God help him. Yeah, I think once the inmates found out that he was a former policeman, it wouldn't be an easy ride for him.
Yeah, that's true. And his colleagues as well.
Yeah, all 6 colleagues have also been sent to a life term in jail, the ones that were looking on and not really providing...
I still think that he's not going to have it too bad, because in Thai jails, people can take in money, they can take in food, they can, you know, and make life a lot better for people in there. And I think Joe Ferrari will still, unfortunately, be quite comfortable.
Well,
I hope not.
Let's consider that...
I shouldn't say that, should I?
Being incarcerated, is having your freedom taken away, is punishment in itself. But we'll get to some of your comments about that particular story later on in the program. We're going to have a quick break. After that, we've got Natty, who's up in Bangkok. She's going to be having a talk to us about the big stories in Thailand today. And then coming back after that, we're going to talk about this tourism tax that they were going to be introducing and what the latest situation is on that one. This is Sue Altman, and Sue is from Baan Rim Pa, which is a very nice fine dining Thai restaurant with probably the best view in Patong. Would I be right?
Thank you. Yes, yeah, it's just up on the hill out of Patong and the Bay of Kalim. Thank you.
It's just opposite Kalimma.
No, Kalima.
Kalima.
Resort and Spa.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's always parking there, so good luck if you want to go and have a very nice Thai meal. And I've got deliveries coming today, so I've got my eyes out. There's a lot happening around the Newton household. Jason, take us to a break and then we'll be back to introduce Natty with the news.
At Regent's International School Pattaya, we are really excited to be introducing the A-level programme alongside the International Baccalaureate Diploma programme. We are offering these 2 programmes really to prepare students best for university wherever they choose to go in the world.
And thank you for joining us on Good Morning Thailand. And just got a message from Jay. Still feel awful. Cough, running nose, killing me. It's impossible to get any rest. Anyway, so best wishes to Jay. Hope you feel better very soon.
Yeah, good luck, Jay.
So because Jay is sick, you're stuck with Sue and me for today. And I don't even know who I've got tomorrow yet. We're sort of thrown into confusion. So anyway, I hope you feel better, Jay, if you're watching. Also, just a quick notice, it came up on the Thaiger governor, this is the new Bangkok governor, to introduce intelligent transportation system to resolve Bangkok's endemic gridlock. So
Okay.
An intelligent transportation system. Are they talking about an app that doesn't work? I hope it works better than the 90-day reporting app. Anyway, that story on thetiger.com. What do you know about the tourist tax?
Well, I don't know a lot about it. I know that it was going to be 300 baht, and I think it was due to come in this month, and now they're putting it on hold. My question is, are they going to charge people before they come? Because we certainly, those of you who have been around for a long, long time, like myself, my mic's falling.
Put that back in there.
Thank you, Tim.
Fondling Sue.
Thank you.
The best you're going to have for the rest of the day, I suggest.
There used to be a tax that when you left Phuket, there was a machine as you were about to go through, and you had to pay 500 baht to get out.
The departure tax.
Yes,
yeah.
And many people who come on holidays, they're down to their last last baht or don't even have a baht,
yeah.
And they would get there and they had to come up with 500 baht, and it was a nightmare, and it went on for many years. So I hope it's going to be more better organised. But why, and what are they going to do with it?
Well, that's the good question. It's not as if we haven't had departure and arrival taxes in Thailand before.
Yeah.
The implementation has always been said to try and make sure that everybody coming into Thailand is covered in the way of like travel insurance, so that you don't have Sue coming and sort of hiring a high-speed motorbike. You'd be great on a big bike.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then being stuck with having an accident and going to hospital with no insurance. So I think it's about alleviating that. But they're now talking about not introducing it until the last quarter of this year.
Right.
I thought when they were talking about introducing it in, I think originally it was June. That with everything going on and trying to encourage people, anyone, to come back to Thailand. It was just the wrong time.
Yeah.
But anything that would sort out this problem we have with people behaving badly perhaps, or having an accident and then relying on the Thai health system and leaving without paying their bills, I think is a good thing.
Yeah, but why should this 300 baht tax be it? People should have medical insurance when they go on holidays. I never go anywhere on holidays without medical insurance. Why did you want to get stuck in a country, and if you have an accident, if you get sick and you can't pay the bills, there goes your holiday and probably a lot of other things as well.
Yeah, and the Thai government don't tend to chase people up. If they leave the country without paying their bills, well, they've sort of left the bills. But then again, it's not a really good look if a hospital says, we're just going to lock you in your room until you front up with the money. That's not a very good look either.
But I think they pretty much do these days. Certainly
okay.
the private hospitals don't really let you out, I believe. And I think that the public hospitals have also become a lot stricter, that when you go into hospital, you now have to pay a certain amount of money, even in the public hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another topic which we're going to broach later, it's a survey. If you want to go to the community section of our YouTube page, Sue, people can go on, and we're asking the question as I just scroll down. Where is the question that we ask? So you're thinking of retiring, if not now, one day. This has got nothing to do with you, by the way, Sue.
One day.
What will be the major factor in your choice of retirement? So go and fill in that survey, and we're going to have a talk about what people are looking for when they're looking for a place to retire. Be they sort of lucking out early in their life and retiring at 30, or whether it's later in life in your 60s, 70s or 80s. So that's a question we're going to get to later on in the program. Did we go to, we're introducing Natty now, aren't we? So ladies and gentlemen, we're crossing to Bangkok, and it's great to have Natty with us to present the news. Let's find out what's happening in Thailand. And welcome
Former
to Good
Nakhon
Morning
Sawan Provincial
Thailand.
Police
We've got
Chief
Dusty
Thitisan
here saying
Uttanapol,
hello.
aka
It's Wai And welcome
Former
to Good
Nakhon
Morning
Sawan Provincial
Thailand.
Police
We've got
Chief
Dusty
Thitisan
here saying
Uttanapol,
hello.
aka
It's
Joe
Wai
Ferrari, is in the media spotlight today after he was sentenced to a life in prison yesterday for the torture and murder of an alleged drug trafficker. The 41-year-old, along with 6 of his colleagues, were caught torturing a man to death on a CCTV camera leaked on Thai social media last August. Joe Ferrari and the other 5 officers were sentenced to death, but their penalties were lessened as they tried to save the suspect's life after he laid lifeless on the floor of the police station office. Another officer faced 7 years in jail, reduced to 5 years and 4 months. Bangkok's newly elected governor is requesting a year to study how best to solve the city's traffic problems. In a meeting with the Metropolitan Police yesterday, Governor Chhatchhat Sithipan outlined plans to set up a traffic command center, which will cooperate with several other institutions. These include Traffic Police, the Transport Ministry, the Bangkok Mass Transit Authority, the Metro System, and the Expressway and Rapid Transit Authority. The plan is for these institutes to cooperate to centralize traffic management in Bangkok. Chhatchhat pointed out that right now, as many as 37 agencies manage traffic without coordinating well with each other. He therefore plans to place the responsibilities of traffic management under one command led by Bangkok's administration. And lastly, fantastic news for all 420 fans nationwide. The green leaves is now delisted as a Category 5 narcotic. You know what I'm talking about, right? 3,071 prisoners who have been locked up for the green leaves-related drug crimes will be released from prisons all over Thailand. Thailand's Justice Minister Somsak Thepsutin ordered the Department of Corrections to release the prisoners today on June 9th, when the substance is now delisted as a Category 5 narcotic. Anyone currently facing trial for the related offenses will also be dismissed, according to the department. All parts of the plants, including the THC-rich flowers, will be delisted as a narcotic today. Anyone currently facing trial for the related offenses will also be dismissed, according to the department.
Welcome back to Good morning, Thailand, with our guest Sue Altman, all the way from Baan Rim Pa. If you're in Phuket, that's the place to go and get some really nice Thai food. I'd recommend, personally, going at sunset.
Yeah, it is beautiful, looking out over the water and
Very
looking
nice.
out over the Bay of Patong. Yeah.
However, you won't get donuts if you go there. We are going to enjoy these later on. Let's have a talk about the C word, Sue. We're not allowed to say what it is.
Okay.
I'm going to fondle you again.
I keep
I'm
falling
sorry.
apart, do I? Oh,
So we'll just
gosh.
poke that under there. Hopefully it'll stay there. We've got a staple gun. We could staple the
Just
the wire on.
Great.
Just
Lots of love here. I'm
straight
getting
into the
lots
back.
of love. Okay, the C word.
So today they're announcing legislation which is about the C word, C-A-N-N. So they're releasing 3,071 prisoners who have been previously convicted for C word related drug crimes. So this is quite a momentous day, and a lot of people think that everything's changed and you can go out and have a bit of a smoke recreationally. That actually isn't the case. However, you will be able to grow a plant at home if you're going to use it for clothes or weaving.
I thought you were allowed to do it at home as long as it didn't annoy anyone.
No.
Oh.
You could still, but it'll still be the stuff that's got more than 0.2% THC, which is the stuff that makes you feel good, that will still be considered a Category 5 drug, along with the consequences if you're caught smoking it. But if you want to use the plants to make cannabinoid oil, can I say that? Am I allowed to say that word? Then yes, you can grow it at home for the values that that oil may or may not bring you. So I would say all this legislation is doing, and we haven't seen the final details, but it is being announced today, is just going to introduce more confusion.
Well,
you're confused.
I'm very confused because they're allowing 371 prisoners out of jail, which is great for C-related
drug crimes.
Drug crimes. Now, some of these would have been big dealers. Some of them would have been someone who was caught with a small thingy.
And that will be recreational.
Yeah, but
C
all
word.
different. However, it's still going to be illegal. I'm confused.
The stuff that's over 0.2%. And if it's not over 0.2%, then I would suggest that its recreational use would be extremely limited. And how will the police know when they come into your property whether it's got 0.2%? They're going to take it back to the lab? The whole thing, to me, has got more questions than answers. And this legislation is going to need a lot of... I suppose we're going to have to...
It's a good move forward. It's a
progress.
Move forward. It's progress, and it's letting out of prison probably a large percentage of those people who are going to be allowed to get out today should never have been in jail anyway in the first place. So it's a start.
And so there's an air of decriminalisation in all this. The details, though, I think we're going to have to see how it is actually going to be enacted in law and how that rolls out on a sort of a day-to-day basis. And we'll probably have to wait for a year or so to see how people are or aren't convicted when it comes to growing large amounts in a sort of, you've got a huge sort of mansion and free land down there in Wai. You can't grow crops of this stuff unless you get it registered.
But what about your planting out here? You have a pretty large garden.
We have a large garden. We don't have any of that particular plant.
No, we don't either. I have lots of plants, but no, not yet.
I'm not a user of this particular herb.
No, neither am I.
Okay, so let's move on to... sorry to be a bit opaque about all that, but it's very hard to put a firm grasp on exactly what's happening. But I think what I have described is pretty much what's going to happen.
And we're just not allowed to use the C word at the moment.
And we didn't. I think we did very well. Jay mixed tequila and the C word. No, he didn't, sick puppy. Behave yourself, okay? So let's move to the next topic. If I say to you, it's time for Wai Kru, what does that mean to you?
It's a day every year where children show respect to their teachers. It's a very ancient tradition, I think, and the children come in and yes, they do get down on their knees, and the same as at other different times of the year with different traditions. And I think it's very nice that the children show respect. We have...
we got some photos here, Jason. So yeah, this is it on camera. Go on.
Yeah, I'm involved with Phuket Has Been Good to Us, and we teach English for free to a number of children at a school in Kamala. And I know that today they will be showing respect to their teachers, and I think it's lovely. I don't mind old traditions. I think it's, you know, quite pleasant, whereas you don't agree.
No, I think showing children that it's okay to grovel in front of your elders and showing them respect is, or expecting to be shown respect is not a good example.
It's not grovelling.
I think it...
it's not. It's getting down on their knees.
On your knees, prostrate.
Excuse me, the same as if you go to meet the king or if you go to meet people in high places, you're supposed to do those sorts of things.
Well, let me tell you.
And Songkran, you know, come on, Tim.
Songkran?
Come on. When they show respect to the elders.
Okay, but they're not sort of grovelling on the floor. They're washing the hands.
They're
and
sitting
all the feet.
on the floor. They must be lower than the person.
Well, it's pretty hard to wash somebody's feet if you're standing up.
Oh, well, I disagree with you. I think it's lovely, and you call me old-fashioned, but yeah, I think it's very nice.
You're old-fashioned. My take is that if you want to show respect, I think respect is something that should be earned. And if I was to meet...
The teachers have earned it and the children are showing the respect.
I know. I don't think that's a way to show respect. I think standing up in front of them and whining, being polite, that's okay. But as far as prostrating yourself on the ground, I think that's a whole different matter. Maybe it's because I'm Australian. Oh, you're Australian too.
I am.
So that doesn't work. But if I was to meet the K of T...
I think you can say those words.
King of Thailand. I mean, if it was just up to me, I would walk up to him and I'd look at him in the face and I'd put out my hand and say, "Nice to meet you, sir."
And a lot of foreigners do that and get away with it, yeah. But we are in Thailand and we're talking Thai children generally going to Thai teachers or their teachers in their Thai school. So that is a tradition. The same as Thai people will go and they will do that in front of the king.
But what are you teaching the kids? You're teaching
Respect.
the kids that grovelling in front of your elders is okay. I don't think
It's
that...
not grovelling.
It's grovelling. They're on the floor.
Oh, Tim.
She's hitting me now. She's hitting me.
Why don't you see if there's any comments?
Sue's hitting me. Well, so what people are saying. Okay, with Tim's view, no wonder kids today are so rude and arrogant.
Thank you.
Lasted about 10 seconds watching Tim. Hopefully people realise not all Australians are as annoying as this man. Says, fan, you win. Tim's backpedaling. I'm not backpedaling at all. I've met, I'm not sure if you guys are in this particular list, but I've met the Q of E.
Okay.
And how did I meet her? I put out my hand, she shook my hand, and I just nodded.
Grovelled.
And she didn't have any idea who I was. I was just in
that was your way of grovelling. You bowed your head.
Well, that's hardly grovelling on the floor is very different from standing up.
Any more comments? Any nice comments?
Nice comments. You want them all to support you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey Tim, what's wrong with grovelling? How is that grovelling again?
Thank you, people.
It's Thai culture, Tim, says text symbol. Richard Evans says, I agree with Sue. I told you that they'd support you.
Yeah.
Tradition is super boring, says Sa Prapapahon.
Okay, moving on.
Think I'd say more to the K of T, says Gary Riley. Grovelling must go, says Gunnar. So it's quite diverse, the opinions there.
I still don't think it's grovelling. But
I'll offer you a donut instead.
I don't think, not at the moment, maybe later.
Because you get sort of sticky fingers.
And just see all the white dust all over, yeah.
So that's really interesting that people do have quite different views about it. I mean, I sort of see it as something that is actually sending a bad example. Sue sees it as something as a long tradition that shows respect.
Yeah.
So we'll agree to disagree on that. And I'm going to move on to the next topic, which is completely different.
Yeah.
And we'll get to some of your... Sue, hit him again. It didn't hurt at all.
Later.
So yesterday, and we're sort of the age where we can remember when this photo came out. Now, before we get into it, I'm just going to explain, Jason's going to bring up a photo. The photo that he's bringing up is the photo of the photo being held by the person who took the photo. The reason I'm not showing the full photo is because I think we'll be flagged by YouTube for nudity or something. I just have to be so careful. I think everybody out there, or a lot of people, will be aware of what this photo is. It was 50 years ago yesterday that a gentleman called Nick Ut, who was working for Associated Press at the time, was running away from a village, being followed by people from the village. It had just been napalmed, which is when the Americans dropped chemical weapons on the Vietnamese people. And they were trying, obviously, to flush out North Vietnamese sympathisers. And a lady called Kim Phuc was at the in front of this, and he captured a magic moment. Oh, not a magic moment. It was obviously a horrific moment. But the faces and the images from that photo really, I think, probably put what was already a waning support in America, and it really put a full stop and an exclamation mark behind it. And 3 years later, America was totally out of Vietnam in 1975. But that photo, do you remember when it was first published? Can you sort of remember that image?
Oh yeah, I remember it very well. And I mean, we are talking 50 years ago, and it was of this little girl running down the road without any clothes on, and she had been burnt. And it's a horrific photo, and I think that most people, certainly all people over 40, I think would definitely recognise the photo. And it's quite amazing that it's 50 years ago. I mean, it's scary that it's 50 years ago. But she recently visited the Pope, didn't she?
Yeah, so Jason's got some other photos that were taken at the same time. And as people pointed out, it's correct, the South Vietnamese pilots were attacking the North Vietnamese army. So that's, what was that? The South Vietnamese pilots, the US-backed the South Vietnamese were attacking the North Vietnamese, and they were only some 50 kilometres northwest, I believe, of Saigon, which is now called Ho Chi Minh City at the time. Yeah. So thank you, Sick Puppy, for bringing that to my attention, that you're correct. So yeah, a lot of the American military were out of Vietnam by 1973, but they were still engaged in supporting the South Vietnamese up to 1975. This photo taken on June the 8th in 1972. So but the end of this is quite good, because here's some photos of Nick Ut and Kim Phuc recently. And obviously she's now an ambassador for the UN. Yeah. She travels the world, she talks about peace, forgiveness. She doesn't speak with any hate or playing any blame game, doesn't mention the countries involved. So she's been a great ambassador and turned a horrific incident into sort of some goodwill. Another thing, here's a photo, the one with the Pope. This is Nick Ut and Kim Phuc just last week, or maybe in March this year, but just recently, presenting that photo, a copy of that photo, to Pope, is it Pope Francis? Well, we're not very good with our popes. I think it's Pope Francis. Pope Francis, I think so. Gosh. Interesting sort of transition through those 50 years of that horrific photo. I also wanted
we're going to get in trouble now from the Catholics watching us.
The Catholics will be attacking me, and probably US citizens will be attacking me for not presenting the full story. But I'm not here to sort of do a background on the Vietnam War. By the way, Ken Burns did an excellent series called The Vietnam War. It used to be on Netflix. I don't think it is anymore, but that's very worth watching.
And of course, if you go to Vietnam, it's not called the Vietnamese War, it's called the American War.
Where?
In Vietnam.
Yes, it's actually, I did an article about it yesterday. They've got quite a long name about it. I think it's something to do about the resistance against the Americans' war or something like that.
But if you're speaking to people in general, they just call it the American War.
Interesting that one place to go to, if you do go to Ho Chi Minh City these days, I went there when I was in Ho Chi Minh City about 2 years ago. They've got a war museum. So the interesting thing, of course, about this is a war museum set up in Vietnam, and the tone of the stories in the museum are quite different from the tone of the way that the Vietnam War is presented to me as an Australian. Of course, Australians fought with the Americans in during the Vietnam War. You would have had friends who were sent off?
Sure, school friends who were conscripted and went to the war.
When I was growing up in Australia during the 60s and early 70s, it certainly was something on my mind that I was probably going to be conscripted and sent off to Vietnam. I was lucky in 1972 when the Australian government banned conscription and also at that same time pulled out, along with the Americans, started to pull out from Vietnam. So it was something that was on my mind. So actually, I love Ho Chi Minh City. I mean, now 50 years down the track, it's turned into a fantastic city, as is Hanoi up north. I mean, the whole of Vietnam is a fascinating place to visit.
Yeah.
You been there?
Yes.
Which parts did you go to?
We went to Hanoi and to Ho Chi Minh, I think. It's a few years ago now. Need to go back again. Tim, why don't we do a trip together?
Do you know what I'd like to do? Maybe not with you, but unless you bring donuts. I would like to go to Hanoi, rent a motorbike, and ride all the way down to Ho Chi Minh City.
Not with me, no.
I think that would be a fascinating trip.
I'm not a good
Jason
person on a
will do it.
motorbike.
You'll come on the triple. See, Jason will do
Jason will do it.
What sort of motorbike?
With Tim,
though?
Jason? You want to go with Tim? Oh, okay.
I'd be a great tour guide.
Moving on, Tim.
All right. So anyway, there is some a bit of background about a fascinating photo, 50 years old yesterday.
Yeah,
Let's have another break and we're going to come back and have a talk about retiring and where you think is a great place to retire. So we'll be back with more of Good Morning Thailand with Sue Altman from Baan Rim Pa, and brought to you by Regent's International School in Pattaya after this. Good Morning Thailand gets up to 80,000 viewers per week, and we'd like to weaponise our audience for you.
That's right. So if you have a business or a property or even your house that you'd like to sell.
Private yacht?
Yeah, we could be in space.
I'm not sure about space.
Well, all you have to do is contact us on info@thethaiger.com, and you can hire us up to a day or even a week, and we'll go to your property and do the show live.
Good Morning Thailand, coming your way. Thank you for joining us on Good Morning Thailand. Tim here and Sue from Baan Rim Pa, and we've got Jason pressing the buttons today. Thank you for joining us from Villa Newton. We're here until the end of the week. Jay was meant to be back today, but he's a bit under the weather. So we wish you well, Jay, and hope you're feeling much better soon. So let's have a talk about a survey. I asked the question, so you're thinking of retiring, if not now, one day, what will be the major factor in your choice of retirement location? So we'll go from the least popular answer to the most popular answer. We had five, not four, options. And I'll be interested to hear your thoughts, of course, Sue. Infrastructure, transportation and shopping. Only 4% of respondents thought that was important. I would have thought that would have been much more important.
Well, I think they're important, but I certainly wouldn't put them up in the
It's
top.
not the major factor. Okay.
Certainly, you need to be able to get around. Yes, infrastructure is important to a certain And shopping, you need to be able to buy food and clothes, but when we
Obviously.
came here, you couldn't get much of that. That was a long time ago. But
It was back in the sort of
now it'd be nice.
1930s. A range of activities and holiday travel options. Only 6% thought that was a good idea. So the fact that...
Yeah, but these people who are retiring, they've already done all their holidaying and travelling things, and they've still got those options to do, but they've done a lot of that. That's why they've landed in places like Phuket.
So this option then would perhaps appeal to those people. Good hospitals and a reliable medical system. 9%, so we're still very low percentages. I thought that would be important to people retiring.
I would have thought that was much higher. Certainly, I think it's very important, and I think in Phuket and in Thailand, even though we complain at times about the medical system, at least what happens here is if you have something go wrong, you can go straight to a hospital. You can go straight in. If the doctor says you need an x-ray, you can get the x-ray done straight away. An hour later, he's got the results, and then you can get the treatment you need. In other countries, you've got to go from one doctor to another doctor, and it can take 2 weeks before you get the results. Yes, it's not cheap. It used to be cheap. It's not cheap, but then medical attention in most parts of the world isn't cheap. Some places it is, but it's very important, I think.
The second most popular answer was a better climate and warmer weather. Well, you're certainly going to find that in Thailand.
Yeah, and if you come from Melbourne,
you're going to get a shock.
If you come from a lot of places in the world, especially at the moment, if you're in Australia, you just want to get out. So everyone's telling me, and I'm here and I'm fine. And yes, I think weather and climate is incredibly important. And we have great weather here.
We have really good weather in Thailand. Still quite a variety. Obviously, in the south, we get quite humid weather all year round and always hot. Up in the north, they do get a little bit of winter when it gets down to 5-10 degrees on some nights.
But not for long
It's
periods.
Very short period, for a couple of months.
And like this morning, we've had sunshine, we've had rain, we've got cloud now. I mean, you get the variety. It's a bit like Melbourne, except it doesn't get cold.
If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So this one is by far, with 67% the most popular answer, a place where my saved money or pension will go further. So are you surprised that was number one?
Not really, because the thing about a place like Thailand, you can live very cheaply here. You can get small accommodation, you can eat in local restaurants, and you can live on your pension reasonably comfortably. In Australia, for instance, and in the UK and other countries, living on a pension, if you don't have a lot of savings, is very difficult. But you still do need to have savings here. You can't just sort of have a pension and move to Thailand, because there are restrictions here, and there are things that you have to do to qualify to stay here for a retirement visa.
Different countries, different restrictions.
Absolutely.
There's been a change for UK citizens in the pension recently. I know I've just done a little bit of homework about when I am eligible for the pension. Would I be able to get that here in Thailand? Well, the answer pretty well is no. So I'm going to come and live with you, Sue, you and Tom. So I know you're happy about that.
Yeah, okay.
Because I won't be able to afford to live by myself.
You're bringing the cats? Because my dogs love cats.
So do my cats love dogs.
But yeah, Australian pension, I know I can't get the Australian pension because I've been out of Australia for too long, and the same with my husband, forget it. And, medical and all of those things, basically they don't want to know us.
Yeah.
Don't come back.
So, I mean, it's up to us looking at retirement sometime in the future. We're going to have to get all our ducks in a row and make sure we've sort of got connections with the Thai medical system, that our insurance is sort of up to date, and all those things. So we'll go to people's comments and see what they think about the best place to retire.
Just one thing on insurance. I mean, and you have to look at this. It is astronomically expensive for medical insurance, especially as you get older. I'm just about to pay our yearly medical cover, and it's works out at it's over 300,000 baht, which is around 12,000 Australian dollars, and we are not covered for. We only have 2 million baht coverage, and they will not put it up for us because we're too old.
You did have a bit of a rough trot early last year.
It's 2 years ago, would you believe, Tim?
2 years?
Yeah.
That affected your health insurance options?
Not really, no.
No?
It's just as you get older, the policies jump, and most policies will not cover you over 75 years old these days, which is a problem. Fortunately for us, when we bought our medical insurance, which was a long time ago, we have all of life or whole of life medical cover, but most insurances. So people who are in their late 70s or their 80s who are thinking of retiring, it's a real problem to get insurance.
And if you're thinking, depending on the country you're coming from, you really do need to do some checking. I know, for example, if I wanted to get the pension, and it was the same with you, you'd have to go back and live there for a minimum of 2 years, and then they still have the option to refuse your pension. And if you then come back to live here, they can decide to cut it off. And there's quite a lot of arbitrary decisions made along the way here. So it's not cut and dried. So if you're a UK citizen, it is easier to transfer your UK pension over here. I'm not sure about Americans, and a lot of other nationalities are going to have other issues.
Yeah.
And then you've got to look at what visa you're going to get when you do that. If it's a retirement visa, the O or the OA visa, then there are minimum requirements. So
it's not easy. If you decide to live out of your own country, to retire out of your own country, there's always going to be hurdles no matter what country you go to. And yes, they do keep changing the goalposts all the time. Well, that's just the way it is. We have to accept that, and if you don't, there's no point in complaining about it. If you're not happy, I always say there's an airport there, go back to where you came from. But yeah, you just have to, there are a lot of advantages, and there are also a lot of disadvantages.
Do your homework.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to some of your comments now. Comments about that particular survey. Robert Madalena said, "My modest pension and savings will be easier to deal with a rising economy, plus Thailand is a great place to explore." Oh, we'd have to agree with that. Beverly Weber, thank you Beverly, she said Thailand does seem to check all those boxes, but it isn't the only country to do so. However, Thailand's a fascinating place to live. The only place which might be easier, guess what?
Albania.
Totally different sort of culture there. No need for a visa, she says, and no reporting.
You better check that out, Tim.
Token nomad. I could end up in Albania. Token nomad. From the time I first stepped off the plane for work back in '95, I always knew Bangkok was my spot. Money not an object to just going to live large in Bangkok. Certainly, if you've got a few dollars in the bank, you could live a great, very comfortable, luxurious life in Thailand.
You can live a great life in Thailand, whether you've got a lot of money, or sort of as long as you've got enough to survive and comfortably. I mean, it really is great places to eat very cheaply, right up to very expensive high-end Michelin star restaurants, high-end restaurants, and all of the luxuries of life are available here. Plus the weather, plus the beaches. It's a pretty good place, but you can do it on a budget.
I'm a bit distracted with the comments, so we'll get to those now.
Yeah.
And thank you for that. Ryan Bishop says, Tim, the victory today is legalisation of the HEMP crop, which yields, he's talking about different returns. I would say if you are a foreigner and you want to get involved in the growing and cultivation and the monetisation of HEMP or the C word crops, I would consult a lawyer and do a lot of homework before you get started. I did an interview with a lawyer last week and he threw up a whole lot of red flags, so I'd be very careful about doing that. But Ryan, thank you very much.
But
for
also,
your thoughts.
if you're doing it, you can't do it to sell, can you? And you can't sell things if you don't have a work permit. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of things that are going to have to be dragged out before we actually know what's going on with this.
And we do need to, obviously, to see how the whole situation works. My battery's going flat, so we're not going to last much longer. We'll do a couple more messages. James Patrick, hi. James says, Tim, you could join Paddy Doyle. He's going on a road trip to Vietnam, north to south, on a motorbike. Oh, I don't know Paddy. I'm sure he's a very nice person, but I'd probably want to go with somebody I know, like Sue. So
No.
you'd be on the back of the motorbike, I'd be on the front.
No,
You'd be hanging on for dear life.
no,
All right.
I don't do motorbikes. I'm
Sue's not
terrified.
coming. Simple as that. Teddy Bear, let's face it, a fair number of Western economic refugees and sexpats end up in Thailand. Thank you very
Yeah.
much, Teddy Bear,
Yeah.
for your comment.
Same as, we know that. We do know that, Teddy Bear.
Chupa says, these are completely randomly selected comments. You're a delusional person if you think every Gen Z or millennial got into Bitcoin or tech. How many most are paying for your pension and high cost of living? There's a whole thread of conversations which we sort of miss.
Yeah.
So apologies if we missed some of those. So Tony the Tiger talking about mother's basement with oatmeal. Again, I missed the particular thread there. So anyway, I think we've sort of got through quite a few comments today. Sue, thank you very much for coming.
My pleasure, Tim.
I want to get rid of you so I can have one of these. Which one are you going to have?
I'm going to have that one.
Okay, I'm going to have this one.
All right.
Which one are you going to have, Jason? It'll be a chocolate
The
one.
chocolatey one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought so. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. It's been great to have you with us on this beautiful Thursday morning. We've had a bit of sunshine, we've had a little bit of cloud, a few drops of rain, but I'm sure we'll get some blue sky at some stage today. And
Maybe.
it could be a very nice night to sit on one of the tables right on the edge overlooking Patong Bay at Baan Rim Pa restaurant.
Thanks, Tim.
Sue Altman, thank you very much for coming in and thank you for watching. If you want to keep up to date with all the news from the Thaiger, go to thethaiger.com. Thank you very much to Jason for pressing the buttons.
Yeah.
Except for a little mishap in the middle that only you know about, and we'll cut it out for the rest of the viewers today. But we'll see you again tomorrow.